Rufio, Jack Ward, and Quinn Hutchison. And myself, Alex Keaton.
All right, so about 5 months ago, I was heading out of a basketball practice. This practice was about 2 hours long, so as you can imagine, I had some notifications to look at when I was finished. I had about 5 from Instagram, 5 from Snapchat, 8 from iMessage, and a bunch of others from a bunch of miscellaneous apps. Now right out of this basketball practice, I don't want to look at all these notifications. I just want to swipe up and forget all about it. Turns out, my mom had texted me, asking me to wish my grandmother a happy birthday. Now guess who didn't wish their grandmother a happy birthday? This guy. So fast forward about 2 days, and my mom follows up. She asked, "Did you wish your grandmother a happy birthday?" I replied with, "I had no idea it was her birthday, regardless if I had seen the text or not." She proceeded to ground me for 2 days because of this. Now, I'm not the only one that deals with missing important notifications. In fact, my entire group deals with this problem, and I'm willing to bet a lot of you guys deal with the same problem as well. This is why we have created Notiman. Notiman would be an application on your smartphone device that helps you prioritize your notifications.
Our first unique value proposition is Notiman is customizable. This means that in our app, you are able to customize what your notifications look like as they appear on your lock screen. For example, you are able to change the color of the notifications and place a border around your notifications to match your wants and needs. Secondly, we are compatible. This means that our app is compatible with any app that sends you notifications. Whether it's a weather app, a sports app, a game, messages, or even emails, Notiman will work for any of those apps. And lastly, we have prioritizing your notifications. This is what makes us stand out from our competitors, as it makes you able to pin up to 3 messages, people through messages or apps, and it will prioritize their notifications, and it will appear above every other notification no matter what time you get received it.
So this is how your notifications could look with and without Notiman. In the first picture, you can see that text message is below all those other notifications, and it kind of blends in, so you may miss it. But with Notiman, you can pin that notification right to the top of those notifications, and it would stay there even if other notifications come in after it, so it would be impossible to miss. And we are marketing to 13 to 26-year-olds. We chose this age demographic because they deal with the most notifications according to Statista. And this age group is mostly on social media apps, and social media apps tend to send out the most notifications. And this age group also sends and receives the most text messages, so they would deal with this issue the most.
For our market research, we have determined that our total addressable market for the market or application market is estimated at $2 billion. For a serviceable addressable market, in terms of number of units, we have estimated it at 146 million units. For a serviceable addressable market, we have estimated at $657 million, which represents the number of people in the United States ages 13 to 26 that own iPhones. Through our research, we've also found that our market share percent is 0.01%, which leaves us with a market share revenue of $63,000.
Our 2 main competitors are UNotif's and InTouch Notification Manager. Both companies are indirect competitors to Notiman because UNotif's only rearranges and reminds you of your notifications instead of prioritizing and customizing them like Notiman. And InTouch Notification Manager is a tool used to create new notifications instead of modifying existing ones.
All right, so our customer relationships are exclusively through Instagram. During our MVP testing phase, we sent out 3 different advertisements once every 2 weeks. Our first one over here is an MVP explainer video on a whiteboard explaining what our application might do on your iPhone. The next one is a call to action advertisement with our company's logo. And the final one is a question followed by a lock screen with a very busy notification look. Now, these advertisements performed with the following stats. As you can see, our first 2 really struggled with people that saw the advertisement and then people that actually interacted with our advertisement. Luckily, our 3rd advertisement solved this problem, and as it was our best engaging advertisement by far, having dealt far more likes than the other 2 combined. Now, once people actually clicked onto our landing page, clicking on our advertisement, we had an incredible 21% conversion rate of people that went on our landing page and people that decided to sign up to become beta testers for Notiman in the future. This led to 36 total emails for people that wanted to become beta testers and wanted to stay involved with Notiman going forward.
So we will be putting our app on the iOS App Store, and it would be free to download there. And with that, you would get our freemium model, and that would just have a few small features. but to get the rest of the features that we provide, you would purchase our in-app subscription. And the freemium model would just allow you to pin up to 3 notifications, but if you were to purchase our in-app subscription, you could pin as many notifications as you'd like, and you would be able to customize them and change the look of them based on your preferred aesthetic.
Alright, so our revenue streams, as previously stated, is a $4.50 quarterly billing to all those that sign up for the premium version of our app. Because we are an app company, we have a very low amount of cost of goods sold. In fact, it is only the credit card billing fee of an average of 2.4% per every billing. This would lead 97.6% of our revenue turning into profit towards the company.
So for our cost structure, we have multiple startup costs, which are the development of our app, our initial marketing, and our legal fees, which are trademarks for our name and logo, as well as the copyright to our software and our LLC. For our selling, general, and administrative costs, we have our high technology maintenance fees for our website, continued marketing throughout the season, and salaries for each of our employees. And our cost of goods sold is the credit card fee, which, as we mentioned before, was on average 2.4% depending on the credit card company.
So, as an app with a recurring revenue, our recurring revenue total for year 1 would be $9,647. However, this scales up into year 5 to over $500,000, with an average 83% growth per year.
Our gross profit for year 1 is around $8,800, and our gross profit for year 5 is estimated to be around $536,000.
Our year 1 net income is around $2,781. By the end of year 5, our net income is at $240,393. For our MVP, we created a landing page. On our landing page, there was a short explainer video explaining who we are and what we do. You could find our unique value propositions, and there's also a small survey where you can sign up for our beta testing. Now, to promote our landing page, we created some advertisement on Instagram. Every 2 weeks, we would send out a new advertisement with a new part of our business model to promote our landing page. The total advertisements led to about 171 website visits and a total of 36 beta testing signups.
The company is seeking $110,000 for our startup costs, which are estimated around $108,000, our liquidity cushion, which we've calculated to be around $1,800, and our accumulated loss, which we've calculated to be around $80. This is based on a post-money valuation of $211,000, so we're offering 52% ownership of our business. Thank you, and if you have any questions, email us at notiman8@gmail.com.
Have you guys had a chance to prototype the product?
Right, so we created a demo through an app of how the actual application might look when you go in.
Okay.
However, we haven't created any type of software that would actually prioritize your notifications.
So what, help me understand how confident you would be that your $100,000 would, the program, the results from that would deliver against your MVPs?
Well, $100,000, to be honest, is a pretty conservative estimate on how much money we would need to build this app, as it's obviously a lot of money. We talked to several app developers, and they all kind of gave us different prices varying around this range. And they said they could create this app that would, they said, just created helps prioritize your notifications for $100,000 pretty easily.
And then how does it work on the back end? It's basically working off of the iPhone, iOS?
Right. So when you would go into our actual app, you would be greeted with like a home screen, and then you would go in and you would choose different apps or different people in the apps that you would want to prioritize. So, for example, in my story, I would want to pin my mom through text message, so I wouldn't miss that important notification. So once I click that, anytime I get a text message from my mom in the future, it will always be pinned to the top of my lock screen. And the way Apple prioritizes notifications right now is strictly from the time that they came in. So regardless of the time it came in, it will stay at the top of my lock screen until I swipe up into my phone, allowing me to see it much easier.
Yeah, I understand your concept, and I think it's very smart. I'm just having a hard time kind of making the leap from concept concept to reality with the program?
It would go through, the iOS software on the back end, so we would have to, the reason why the cost was so high for the development is because we would have to figure out a way to integrate it into the already existing Apple software.
And you're sure it's technically possible?
From the feedback that we've gotten from from the developers that we've contacted, yes, it is.
One thing to be aware of is this, obviously Apple has, this is something that they've been working on a lot. The notification center has changed a lot over the last 3 iOS releases, and thinking ahead of what that is. Do you have any idea to how you could be kind of defensible in this and make sure that no matter what they do with iOS releases, Notiman can stay kind of relevant?
Right, so that's what we have, the legal money is for. It's to obviously like trademark and copyright like our actual like intellectual property on this. And as you said, like Apple is big on the notification center, and that is a big reason we like this product so much, because potentially if this grows as we expect it to, year 5, we could see ourselves possibly selling to Apple and then creating an app for the US.
And one other thing with the app stores is generally you'll want to do in-app subscriptions or whatever. Apple will, you're not going to do the credit card processing fees, but they take 30% of the revenue the first year, and then 15% every subsequent year from that by doing the in-app purchases. Which I absolutely recommend doing. If like you don't want to like do your own credit card processing on a separate thing like that. So I absolutely recommend doing that, but bake that into your assumptions of what your profits will be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the premium service gets you 3 app notifications and basic is 1?
No, so when you first download the app, you would be able to pin 3 people or different apps. However, the premium version allows you to pin as many as you might want.
And how much was that?
The premium version, it's a $4.50 quarterly bill.
How'd you come up with that price? Why not $10? Why not $1?
So we talked to a lot of people, and these recurring billings, a lot of people like don't like them because they often like stack up on your credit card. So we wanted to choose a price that's definitely small enough so when people might see it coming in, they're not like overwhelmed, being like, I just paid $20 for this and I'm not even like, I don't know the last time I used it. So we decided $4.50. Obviously, with no cost of goods sold, really, we don't have to meet a certain threshold to create profit. However, we felt this has our best chance to maximize our profit with most users and most profit coming.
So you said you tested it, you talked to a lot of people. Can you quantify that for us?
Right, so we talked to, I think it was around 50 people in our survey, mainly adults because they're using credit cards more. And we also talked heavily with our mentor on this, as he was pretty passionate about how we should create it to be a smaller amount of money, because then it has a much higher chance of people signing up for it.
At this press point, a very common thing to do, and again, with how Apple does the App Store, it's not really complicated thing. I know we like to keep things simple, but $1.99 a month or $19.99 annual, and you give them that choice. It's very easy. And then again, am I going to get nickel and dimed, or oh no, $20 for a whole year, and then I don't have to think about it. So if you want to play around with those are very easy to play around with those pricing models within the Apple framework.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about the developer you talked to and what their credentials are, and they're clearly a big partner in this industry.
So one of the developers that we communicated with the most, his name is Brad Reardon. We were put in touch with him through our mentor, and he develops apps, and he was really passionate about helping us and kind of guiding us through the process of figuring out the cost and all the work that would have to be put into it. And so he gave us the estimate for the $100,000, and he kind of talked us through that it's like the risk of it and all the just kind of effort that we're gonna have to put in on our end for this app to really.
Did he walk you through the process of like wireframing and all that? Did you guys get into the actual process and the time frame and how long it would take?
He said it would probably be around 4 months, I believe. And a lot of he tried to go in depth a bit with us about some of the coding, and a lot of that we didn't understand, truth be told. We're not coders in this group. But he said it would be about a 4-month time frame, and it would be all him, it wouldn't be any of us contributing to this. And then he would be able to create the average.
So, one of the things you may propose, if you haven't talked to Brad, is his name?
Yes.
Would he be willing to take equity in the company in exchange for a lower price? In essence, he helps fund part of the startup costs?
Right, we were kind of exploring that option with the group and with Brad, but we haven't really reached kind of a conclusion on what the number would be yet, but we can get back to you on that.
So you kind of addressing equity, you're giving up control of your baby by giving up 52%.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna bring in another equity person to do the coding, you guys are gonna be further diluted.
Yeah, absolutely. That is why we would, well, if we give up 52%, then we would have the $100,000 to pay him a flat fee, so he would not have any equity.
That'd be a double count. Yeah.
Right. So we would end up probably just giving up around, regardless of who gets it, either the investor, Brad, or a combination of 52% of the company. And obviously that would then, they would own the majority ownership in it. And definitely a shot to the heart. Obviously we're very passionate about this company, but we would just love to work with it, regardless of the percentages that we might own, as much as we can.
Is there a provision to build a prototype in the app development that would allow you guys to get a sense of what you're buying before you spend the whole $100,000? As for instance, kind of creating a milestone or a series of milestones that would allow you to kind of keep getting continuous peeks under the hood to ensure that the product that's delivered is really going to line up to the general need?
Yeah, so we know Brad Reardon on a personal level through our mentor, and anytime that we might ask for an update on it or where he's at right now, I'm sure he will give us as much information as we ask for about it to make sure we are in a place of mutual understanding about what this app is going to look like and how it's going to perform. So we would definitely get a lot of feedback for it. It wouldn't be we're just completely cut off from one another. We'd be talking with him through the process of creating it to make sure it's it's the app that we want to create.
What other apps has Brad developed or brought to market?
I don't think Brad necessarily he works with a lot of people on different ads, and I'm not totally sure that we would have to confer with our mentor and Brad about that. We were just told that he was a very good, trustworthy app developer.
Yeah, that's good, and I'm glad you have a mentor that you trust, but you're ready to put a bunch of time and energy into this. You're entitled to ask questions about their credentials and qualifications, and and you can do it in a really polite way, not you don't have to drill them, but plus people just are proud of their work and say, oh gosh, tell me some cool things you're working on, or what have you worked on in the past, and they'll tell you, and you can get a sense for the best predictor of future behavior is what they've done in the past.
Right.
I think that's the easiest way to interview somebody. So I would encourage you to do that.
Right. Absolutely.
And that may lead into the equity conversation. I wouldn't start at 52%, by the way. If you start at 52, you're never going lower. So anchor your negotiations a little bit lower, but you are raising a lot of money, so you're going to want to be creative in getting money from multiple people. There's probably not one check writer on this deal. There's going to be multiple check writers, and maybe some sweat equity that Brad puts into it.
Right.
I'm just curious, during this experiment, I saw you guys shared how you could generate interest and the different versions. What did people tell you was most important to them in the notifications app? Because I heard you say free, you get to prioritize 3. The premium model is unlimited, which triggers in my brain, then what's the point? Because I'll have a jumbled mess as well. So what did people tell you?
Right. So, like, we're fully aware that, like, people aren't gonna pin, like, 100 different notifications, because that would just, it would remove the point of it. But this is just more to, like, give them the option of it. And we wanted to anchor at 3, because a lot of people, I would say I definitely have more than 3 people that are important notifications. Like, anytime they send me a text, or I get a Snapchat, Instagram, any other kind of notification from them, it's gonna be important and I wanna see it. So we start with 3 so they understand our app, they enjoy it, they're like, this thing works. And then they think, you know what, I got 2 or 3 more that I might wanna pin, and then they would sign up for a premium.
Well, 2 or 3 more, they can still use the free version.
Well, I mean, like, they pin, like, their first 3, and then they,
But I think Margarita's point is what's that, you know, if everybody's a priority, nobody's a priority.
right.
And if 3 is the number, that might be worth the app. Maybe you just prioritize 1,
Right.
and it always is at the top, and that's the free version. Because, you know, yeah, like, you can't sell too many, you know, first row seats
Exactly.
if everybody has one, so.
And until the app is developed, and even after, we can continue to play with these numbers to find out what best suits it. So we can, as you said, like, switch it to 1 person, and then the premium version would be.
But I guess I would encourage learning what people value,
Right.
meaning me as an end user. And it may be, you know, family, friends, some combination of work and school. That covers the 3. Because beyond that, your potential users may say, then beyond that, I'm not paying attention because I will have pinned too many.
Right.
And from an app development perspective, if you don't have to give your customer the option to prioritize everybody, then does that make your ask for development costs a whole lot less?
Yeah.
If you really only need to get to 9, whatever, I'm making up that number.
And we did talk to some people, and the majority of the answers was just family, that they wanted to hear from, mainly, obviously, just mom, dad, brother, sister, that people felt these were their most important.
How many notifications will even fit on the phone, on the screen?
So notifications in Apple right now, the way it is prioritized is, it comes in by time. And then if you get a certain amount, if you get more than 3 from a certain app, it groups it in like a little like group box. And then, so if you have like boxes going down, you can fit 5 of those. But without the boxes, if it's just single notifications, you can fit 8 on your Apple Store.
Okay, 5 to 8.
Also, roughly depending on the size of your phone.
Last question.
And your font's probably a lot bigger too.
Just saying.
One thing to think about is when you're negotiating the actual development contract here, is like there's one thing to deliver, but then there is going to be a maintenance tail after that. What about bug fixes? What about iOS updates, things like that? You want to get that in writing, like what does he commit to keeping up to date as those come in, and just be very clear on that. It's not just like, here you go, have fun with it. You want to be able to make sure that it lives on, and you have the developer as a resource for that.
2 quick things. Can you pin group text?
Yeah, you would 100% be, yeah, but that would just be it would count as just 1.
Okay. And then how'd you come up with the name?
Notiman? Actually kind of funny, so we were brainstorming ideas for it, and our original idea was Notif, but as she said, one of our main competitors that we found out like 2 days later was Unotif, so we had to change it up. And so we just kind of thought Notiman, it was just kind of like a fun, cute name, like Notiman will save your notifications. Superhero.
Superhero.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, you may want to think kind of also, you're kind of talking a lot about family and mom. I think no matter what your age is always going to be number 1. But from a business perspective, if I'm in a negotiation or if there's a bidding war, I might have people that I'm going to be randomly reallocated to make sure that pops up. So it's kind of a different way to think of different user that might be interested in it.
So what are you guys thinking? Is this an experience that you want to continue and intensify, or?
Should we just go down the line?
I think that this is the end of my Notiman experience, but I am exploring options for continuing this class next year in the accelerator program, maybe being hired by another group. Yeah.
This is also my end of Notiman, and I don't think I'll be exploring options for next year's class.
I'm kind of on an island here. I still am in love with Notiman, and I also, but more just so the class, and I would love to be in any way part of it next year.
And I will not be continuing with Notiman either, and I won't be exploring next year.
So there's one Notiman.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.